Today, the market is still in the process of recovering. The price of Shiba Inu has only marginally rebounded. After expanding out, the situation remains gloomy. However, there is a matter that you should be aware of. Additionally, this is significant. It has abruptly plummeted. Around 3.5 trillion Shiba Inu are being investigated. Satoshi Kusama and other developers are absent. What is happening? What am I even discussing? Well, allow me to elaborate. Welcome to Dr. Crypto, your daily serving of Shiba. This is the spot for you if you're curious about anything related to Shiba. If you want to keep informed about all the latest news forecasts and stay ahead of the crypto industry, subscribe. To get more SHIB news, be sure to click the like button. Shiba Inu did not experience any significant hardships today. It has been able to recover somewhat in the past 24 hours, regaining a position in the green, a pleasant recovery. However, the situation is less appealing when one takes a step back and examines the broader context, such as the previous week. The Shiba Inu is still experiencing a decline of approximately 10%, so it is not yet entirely unaffected. The prevailing emotional state? It is somewhat uncertain. Retail investors are currently in a peculiar phase as they attempt to determine their subsequent course of action. Should they purchase additional items, maintain their current purchases, or simply withdraw from the situation? That is the fundamental inquiry. It is uncertain whether the Shiba Inu will continue to decline or whether this most recent decline will ultimately conclude. However, one thing is certain, individuals are still discussing it. The community is intently monitoring the situation, anticipating the next significant transformation. However, you may be pondering, what is the actual situation? What is the reason for this price fluctuation? Well, let us expand our perspective and examine the broader context. Shiba Inu is not the sole individual experiencing this. Bitcoin is proceeding in a comparable manner. It endeavored to maintain its position at approximately 108,000, but it was unable to maintain its momentum and plummeted to 107,000. At present, it is fluctuating at approximately 96,000 as it continues to grapple with its equilibrium. It is unsurprising that Shiba Inu and other digital currencies are responding, as Bitcoin establishes the tone for the entire market. Everything else tends to follow when Bitcoin stumbles. Furthermore, what is the rationale for all of this? It is none other than Donald Trump. At least that is the perspective of a few analysts. The total cryptocurrency market capitalization experienced a decline of over 2.5%, declining to approximately $3 trillion. Cryptocurrency is perpetually volatile. However, this time there are tangible variables at play. Initially, the market has been experiencing a decline in prices due to the numerous liquidations. Then, there is the risk-off mood. Investors are exercising caution in anticipation of the forthcoming U.S. employment report, as they are adverse to uncertainty. Furthermore, the market technicals are currently poor, suggesting that prices may experience an additional decline. Traders are anticipating the release of data regarding unemployment rates, wage growth, and job openings, as these data points could potentially influence the Federal Reserve's interest rate policy. However, the following is noteworthy. The Shiba Inu has actually fallen in the crypto rankings as a result of the recent rapid price declines. It was previously situated in the very top 10, but it has since plummeted to approximately the top 20. That is an immense decrease, significantly lower than anticipated by the majority of individuals. The Shiba Inu community is accustomed to observing the Shiba Inu as the monarch of meme coins, heading the charge. However, at present, it appears that this is not the case. Other caricature tokens have been performing better, and Shiba Inu's position continues to decline. It is a peculiar transition, as Shiba Inu was a name that was unstoppable in the industry for an extended period. Now the critical inquiry is whether it is feasible to resume its upward trajectory. Or is this simply the new truth for Shiba Inu? The market is currently unstable, and financiers are still determining their next course of action. However, one thing is certain. Attention is being paid by individuals. The following is the most peculiar aspect. The Shiba Inu developers are nowhere to be found, despite the significant decline in their rankings. There were no significant reactions. There are no significant updates. Silence. It is almost disconcerting. It would be reasonable to anticipate that the team would intervene, reassure the community, and potentially implement a strategy to regain momentum following such a significant decline. However, more recently, nothing. There are only a few sporadic updates. Nothing noteworthy in that silence. Individuals are experiencing anxiety as a result. Investors are commencing to pose significant inquiries. What is the location of the developers? Are they even paying attention? Are they interested in the events that are taking place, or are they simply allowing the Shiba Inu to recede into the background? This should serve as a wake-up call, a moment in which the team intervenes and implements a solution. However, the sensation is akin to that of radio silence. Then there is the most extensive theory that is currently in circulation. What is the status of Satoshi? Is his attention still directed toward the Shiba Inu, or is he dedicating all of his energy to his own meme coin? Shy. There is a growing sentiment among many individuals that he has redirected his focus, neglecting Shiba Inu in favor of his new endeavor. In all honesty, this is exacerbating the situation. What is the future of Shiba Inu if the main developer is not completely committed? Currently, all that is known is mere speculation. However, this is precisely the issue. People begin to assume the worst when there is a lack of transparency and distinct direction. The community is experiencing a sense of unease as they contemplate whether this marks the start of the end. The price of the Shiba Inu is currently in decline due to its declining ranking. Silence is maintained by the leadership. Investors' anxiety is understandable. They are seeking responses. They desire action. Most importantly, they are interested in determining whether the Shiba Inu still has a future or if it is gradually being abandoned. However, a significant event has occurred, which has further complicated the situation. There is an important fact that you should be aware of, and it may surprise you. Therefore, it has been claimed that the Fear and Greed Index has recently fallen into the, according to a recent tweet, the index is currently at 35, indicating that the market is experiencing a significant amount of dread. This is a significant development, as this index gauges the general sentiment of investors. Individuals are excessively acquisitive when the price is elevated. Fear reigns supreme when the market is at a low point, as it is at present, and numerous traders initiate frantic selling. The following is the most surprising aspect. Although the Shiba Inu has been experiencing a recent decline, the whales, who are large money players, are continuing to accumulate. They are not conceding. In reality, they are purchasing an even greater quantity, despite the fact that the price continues to decrease. The price of Shiba Inu has experienced another decline. However, traders have acquired an impressive 6.33 trillion tokens thus far in 2024. Additionally, they acquired an additional 840 billion in February alone. Currently, these substantial proprietors, who possess Shiba Inu between 10 trillion and 100 trillion, are in possession of an astonishing 161 trillion tokens. That is an astonishing sum. Furthermore, an even more unbelievable event transpired. Shiba Inu's net flow has rapidly increased by an astonishing 5,200%. That is not merely a minor increase. That represents an immense transformation. This net flow primarily monitors the movement of Shiba Inu by whales and large holders. At present, it is evident that they are making significant strides. Recently, whale net fluxes experienced an abrupt increase from approximately 128 billion Shiba Inu to a mind-boggling 3.5 trillion Shiba Inu following days of little activity. That is an enormous increase. And when this occurs, it typically indicates one thing. Whales are currently loading. This trend has the potential to be a highly beneficial indicator for the future of the Shiba Inu. In addition to that surge, significant holder inflows also increased, with 3.8 trillion Shiba Inu being acquired in the past 24 hours. This represents an 892% gain for the week. In the interim, the outflows of significant holders have decreased, which implies that these whales are not merely making arbitrary decisions, they are being deliberate in their approach, clustering Shiba Inu instead of selling them. Thus, what is the significance of all of this? What is the genuine situation here? What is the reason for the significant increase in the number of Shiba Inu that whales are consuming, while the general public is hesitant to purchase them? What do they observe that the typical investor does not? Is there any confidential information that is being disseminated? Is there a significant event that has not yet been disclosed? Whales do not randomly distribute money. When they behave in this manner, amassing billions or even trillions of coins, it is typically indicative of their anticipation of a significant event. And this is where the situation becomes even more intriguing. The Shiba Inu developers have been unusually silent. There were no significant announcements or developments, only silence prevailed. There are numerous interpretations of this statement. However, one potential interpretation is that they are preparing for a significant event. It is possible that they are on the brink of terminating a significant partnership. It is possible that a novel technology is currently in development, a potential game changer for the Shiba Inu. Or, should we say it is possible that this is the tranquility preceding the tempest. The commencement of the significant bull market that we have all been anticipating. Consider the matter. The most significant comebacks frequently occur when the marketplace is at its most fearful and people begin to lose faith. It has been observed previously. Shiba Inu has encountered its fair share of ups and downs, however it consistently manages to astound us. It is possible that this is another instance of that. Might this be the scenario that culminates in the Shiba Inu's renewed popularity? Shiba Inu owners have been clinging to their pets for an extended period of time, attempting to recover from their previous losses. Is this the moment that eventually arrives? Might this be the moment when the Shiba Inu regains its position in the rankings and disproves the skeptics? Currently, it is all merely speculative. Nevertheless, it is imperative that we acknowledge the energy's fluctuation. This type of cetacean activity is unusual, and the emergence of major actors typically indicates the onset of a situation. One thing is certain, whether it is a significant development that occurs behind the scenes, a significant financial investment, or simply a surge of renewed enthusiasm, one thing is certain. Shiba Inu has not yet been completed, and that alone is sufficient to restore hope to the community. Shiba Inu have consistently managed to astound us, as history has demonstrated. Therefore, it is possible that we should refrain from placing excessive emphasis on the current situation. This could be merely a transient obstacle that serves as a precursor to a more significant development. In fact, that is precisely the suggestion that Lucy, a prominent figure in the Shiba Inu society, made in her most recent tweet today. She maintained a straightforward approach. There is absolutely no distress. What is intended will be prudent in your stacking and allow the situation to unfold. That statement alone is quite meaningful. She is essentially urging everyone to remain composed, consider the long term, and not be swayed by short-term price fluctuations. The market fluctuates in cycles. It may occasionally experience a severe collapse, while at other times it may pulse excessively. However, those who remain patient and make intelligent decisions are the ones who emerge victorious. And the accumulation of whales, the increase in net flows, and the developer's silence all contribute to the impression that something more significant is imminent. This decline may be merely a test, intended to sift through the feeble positions prior to the actual move. It is possible that this is one of those instances in which individuals will reflect on the purchase in the future and conclude that it was the ideal time to make the purchase. It is evident that the Shiba Inu narrative is far from over, despite the fact that no one is capable of predicting the future. Quite the contrary. However, what is your perspective on this matter? Comment in the space provided below. The day is over now. Remember to give it a big thumbs up. To see our most recent material, share it, and subscribe to the channel.